Hey everyone, Ace Farmer Cowboy here. Today we are going to do week 3 on Deity, which is the last week. This is the final week. Now, this video is being filmed on the 1st, so I've already changed to the next class, so I'll be releasing a video about that as well. But in this video, I'm going to go over my endless build that I used yesterday to get to 1649. I'll be going over some final thoughts. Had some advice from a friend, and I'll give you some tips about getting your damage output as well. So once again, everyone, hello and welcome. First things first, we're going to go over the big build that I used right here. So this is the build. I kind of already gutted some of the adornments used for other stuff. You may have seen this build already, but I'm going to go over it in a little bit more details. So the amenities that I'm using here are important, but not super important to have these exact ones. The main one is the core one, and then the second part is to be desired, because I understand not everyone just gets legendary and ornate amenities for a long time. But the first one, the favorite mischance, is the 40% crits with Bestial Bond 1, so I'll show you right now. So there we go. The malices are not that bad for this one. The other one is the recovering inability, so I have a lot of recovery ones. So originally I was using this one for a while in the early part when I was able to take and consistently crit and heal up, but as I got later on in the floors, I did not like this one because of the malice, where I'm taking 50% additional self damage from status effects, meaning that the berserk, poison, all that fun stuff would do more damage, so I have to constantly be chugging panaceas or spending time that's not taking out stuff in order to heal. So I decided to go with, I've decided to go with this one, which is the recovering ability, another one. Now, the only downside with this one is that you do take 40% more damage from animals. You'll see in my endless PR, I almost died. Luckily, Deity is a second chance enjoyer, so I had the second chance help me out, because there was a Berserk Griffin hit me with an Omni Strike or Osmo Strike 3, which has decently high pin, and it completely took all my ward, put me in 1 HP. Luckily I survived, so this one is not really ideal to use, but I like the healing part of it. But the main focus is the passive staff effects will last 50% longer. So that is very important. So combining 40% crits and 50% status duration can help. You can also do hybrid damage with an elemental damage if you want to go that route. But for the most part, these adornments that are missing, they're all Lincolnus Bristles. They give me crit rates. You don't have to take and do Lincolnus Bristles for crit rate. You can just go pure Jewel Creation or whatever your best gem and slot that you have is. Now, one thing that is pretty much non-negotiable here later on, you can get through without this in the earlier floors, is the Naghanene's belts. The Naghanene's belts are important because they give you the assassin percent. So I'm going to go over a little bit why the assassin percent is right now, actually. So assassin percent basically means that you can take and apply a status debuff or a status effect more likely when you have a higher percent increased. So during my run, I was using the Ithra Shrine, which gives you an additional plus 10%, so that's 50% assassin with that. So that is what helped me in some crucial situations by using Sleep Dart and Stun Dart for this. The chest is the Blessed Shield, so I'll go right here and I'll do Aru, and you can see it. Basically gives your pet the ability to use Blessed Shield, which is temporary resistance and defense up 2. So that is an important thing that I used for this. The boots are for the pet action rate and the nice stats that they give. The Purely's Lesser Favored Staff, or the OG's Loot from the Nocturna, events, or the Summoner events, that gives you attack and magic. It can be used in this situation. This is the reskin from the Arisen Waygate Anniversary Edition, which is coming up in the near future. So I'm mainly using this because it gives you attack and magic and ward. You can use a shield if you want to, but with this, at that time when I was Ascension level 165, which is a lot of Ascension levels, I'm not going to lie, gave me roughly additional 2 or 3,000 attack and magic instead of using something like this, which would be more tankier and give you more status effects with the Attunement Crest shield, as you can see here, that has all 4 of the Fomorian houses bonus on that. So going over to the spells, let me get there. 1 second. So for the spells, Ultima is the first spell because that's the main spell you will be using in the future. And I decided to add a couple extra seals because recently they added a new update where a lot of the summons or a lot of new monsters now have elemental weaknesses. Originally, I didn't see that part or didn't understand that internally at first. So I thought Northern Forge was just sliding in stuff without telling us. Sometimes they do that, but I do apologize, Northern Forge. They actually did take and tell us that they added some elemental immunities or elemental weaknesses mainly for a lot of the things. So that's where the title seal comes in, and you can actually add the Inferno or the Fire one as well if you want to. Now, in the future, Chinalis will become a 2-turn, and my videos, I did not really use that because I had the Ashen Phoenix as my pet, which constantly added it using the 2 Bestial Potions to help me out. The main 2 Apex spells that I did use were the Borealis and the Eventualis. The main thing with this build to go far, maybe not as far as I am, or maybe farther than I am, depending on your RNG, is to always have your Borealis up, or basically always have your triple defense and triple resistance up, because that will give you a tremendous defense and resistance boosts. The Nutra Eventualis is good if you're fighting Immortal Lords or things that are really hard to hit, because Nutra Eventualis, just like most DD damage skills, are guaranteed to hit as long as you can actually cast a spell. So if you're stasis, or you're paralyzed, or you're asleep, or you're petrified, some of those you have a chance to launch it, but most of them you won't be able to launch it unless you don't have those status effects on you. Ultima 2 was very important for certain fights, like fighting a Berserk Realm Shifter and Berserk Heretic in some situations where Ultima 1 would not do enough damage, so Ultima 2 has that extra magic penetration to help out. And of course, you know, Transference, Stun Dart, Sleep Darts, those are classics to have to help regen. I didn't really use Ward of Ordinite. I could have, but I much rather use Transference, so you can opt out of that as well. But because I was casting the seal spells that had the ward turns, you can potentially tech and Divine Bastion here as well. But that is pretty much covering for the DD Aura. I'm just using this pet for view distance right now. Now, a friend of mine said that for DD Ursa, he was lacking on the damage to be able to use Chain Shield, and I don't blame him. And he said he's going to try Sweep or using Nutra Menialis, as they're covered in the other builds. So my advice is that if you're trying to do High English, you want to take and gauge how much damage you do with your different builds. So, for example, if I was doing High English, I would maybe do a Sweep build over doing a Nutra Menialis build with a similar build like this. If you're going High English, you really don't need the Lux. You can put in your Carl's Rings or your Lincolnus Rings to give you those extra stats to help you out overall, giving you that extra damage. And then utilizing the perfect amity for you. So technically hybrid is great, but if your goal is critting and you want to take and go with a Swansong or a Gandering build, then you will need to take and adjust your amity, because Swansong already has hybrid, so I'd use crits or buff duration to help you out with that. So that can be also a thing to help out. So just gauge your damage. I would say 50 English is pretty difficult to do it. I know my friend, I'm not going to drop his name, even though I'm sure he wouldn't mind it. He said he was in the mid-50s or 60s ascension level. So you can still do 50 English with DD around that range at this moment. I know there's a lot of new things that are coming out with the English 2.0 that we might get some information very soon, or I could possibly cover that on stream. Maybe a little tip right there, a heads up. But overall, it's changing your different build depending on what you're doing. I think ultimately, if you're trying to do High English, I do still think that DD Aura would still do better than DD Ursa, even though I love DD Aura less than DD Ursa. But they got to get that twister. I love DD Ursa because I'm an attack enjoyer at heart, being a Realm Shifter main myself. But I do really enjoy this class overall because with the Ursa passive, as I shared it before, as you take out stuff, you have a chance to get your buffs. Now, of course, it's very low to get those triple ones, but just having that 1 and 2 can help you out. So it's mainly mixing, matching the combos and skills that work for you to make it safe or not as safe as possible. For me, at most times, not all times, I do like to take and live on the edge and try and take in min-max and limit test and try out different things. So sometimes, or a lot of times at times, I will die. Now, let's see how many times I can say times in the video. No, but all joking aside, that is the part of the Deity Aura that I covered. Now, I did not really give a chance in order to cover Deity Ursa PR Endless with this, just because it was very mentally taxing for me to take and do that yesterday. So that's why I may be stumbling, or normally I do stumble with my words, but I do appreciate everyone yesterday that was watching the stream or that is watching the rebroadcast. I'm hoping you learned something and you learn how powerful getting those monument buffs can help you out as well. So that's another tip right there. If you're not doing enough damage and you have access to get the monument buffs, go get them. Demeter is plus 20% buff duration, and then Thor is 10% crit rate with 5% crit damage, Vulcan 10% weapon damage, and then Ithra is 10% assassin with 100% dot or damage effect from your dots. So those can be very crucial for certain builds that you're trying out. But overall, I think I did cover a lot of stuff with Deity. I will be giving my review of Deity in a later video. I wanted this one to be more of a shorter video today, just to kind of go over some final things, some final words about Deity as a class. I think the class is very powerful. That's no laughing matter or no joke for a lot of people. Some people already knew this already, but for some people that are just getting into the class, that are just wondering about Deity, Deity has a very high ceiling, but it also requires you to have a very high understanding of the game in order to take and maximize the very high ceiling that you can go up to with that, which is given to the most parts, and gear does make a big difference with Deity as well. But overall, I'm going to wrap it up here, folks. So thank you, everyone, for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out my Twitch, and soon to be some new social media stuff that I'll be posting in the links in the description. Have a great rest of your day/nights, and I'll catch you on the next stream or live video. Peace, everyone.